Hey Marius, any tips of what I should do when I'm feeling sleepy during lectures? Yes, there are plenty of advices I can give you. If you're like really feeling sleepy, go write down whatever your prof is telling you, whatever is on the whiteboard, blackboard, whatever up front of you. Even if it absolutely does not matter in your exam, just for you being engaged, go write that down. I know, believe me, I had physics lectures and I know how terribly boring they can be. So it is quite relatable. It is really relatable. So yeah, definitely take notes. That would be the first thing. The thing is, if you try and keep trying and nothing is working, like it just doesn't click up there, the light bulb isn't going on, like you don't have the number one idea or you can't follow along because you're just so goddamn tired, then my number two question would be, is it even necessary for you to be in the lecture? Because if your study material is being uploaded anyways, like your lecture levels. And I'm not talking about school lecture right now, I'm talking about primarily university lectures. If your study material is uploaded, then it is not 100% necessary for you to be there. I know that especially in the first year, the attendance rate is super high, but that is dropping throughout the semester. And you might have made that observation yourself, because people just see, first of all, I can occupy myself differently and better throughout the time. I might have a different type of revision or study schedule than this lecture, and it's interfering with it. So if your lecture is not necessary for the performance in your exam, then there's barely any reason for you to be there. The number one priority is for you to pass that exam. Number two would be to pass it well, and all information that you can gather should be gathered. As soon as there's information available, you should be like, oh, I want that. And a lecture can be part of those sources that you can use to be a better student, yet it isn't the primary source. For example, once again, lecture notes, books, but also extracurricular literature can help you on that journey and can support you. So just by being in a lecture doesn't mean that you're actually studying. And focus on studying. Be productive. Don't just be in a lecture because you are in a lecture and that's great and that's what you did. You did your bare minimum when it comes to studying, but you didn't study at all. You were just there, and that's not enough. Being just there is not enough for you to be good in your grades, for even passing your exams. Genuinely isn't. So go and focus on the primary things. Focus on studying, focus on revision. That can mean not being in the lecture. And to prove my point, I'm just quickly gonna do that. I would like to show you something, and that would be MIT physics lectures. Professor Lewin, you might have heard of him. Walter Lewin, he's so good. I agree, yeah. And he's not teaching anymore, sadly, but because he absolutely adored his job. And he was a brilliant teacher. But as you can see, this says MIT OpenCourseWare playlist. MIT, and that's not just the only university that does that, MIT is uploading various study material, various things that you can use online that are available for free for use and that you can download, that you can watch, and so on. So when you have the resources available, you should jump on them, especially if you have free resources. Like for example, I've got physics lectures, so if I would need to go into my lecture, I would go to my lecture. If I would not need to go to my lecture and have the opportunity to stay away to watch a recording, what I did actually quite a lot in university, then I would do that. Or I would watch a YouTube video about exactly that. The problem, of course, with that is I can't ask questions. As I said, not every piece of information is important for exam. So not every piece of information needs to be remembered. Best case scenario, you can retain every single thing your prof is telling you. That would be so amazing. Sadly, this device up here doesn't work like that. At all, not a single bit. So that's the first reason why we need to study and revise things and so on. So we revise the things that are important, as well as you can then, especially if you have a video lecture, and especially if you watch it on YouTube, you can watch it on twice the speed, 3 times the speed. And that might make the thing way more interesting. First of all, you're done with the lecture way quicker, so you're more motivated. Secondly, you have more time at hand. Thirdly, it is more engaging of what I just said, because you're getting through more stuff in less time. And that itself should just like power you through your lecture. So try doubling the speed of your lecture. Maybe you're too bored. Maybe it's not quick enough for you. It probably isn't, to be honest, to get like all points, but if it's just for solely watching the lecture, which never should be the case, you're supposed to retain the information for the long term and kind of like lay the foundation of your studies, and that is being done in the lecture, while later on when you go home or when you are already home and you're supposed to study it, revise it, draw lines, draw connections, and so on. Number 3, third advice that I have for you, and And it is not an advice that I'm proud of. It is not an advice that I would personally pursue, but it's the last resort. And that would be, depending on your age, drink a coffee in the morning. That could help with waking you up. And it does. I had kind of a routine right in front of a lecture, especially astronomy lectures, because astronomy lectures were, they were the most engaging, to be fair. You had the most lights, there were most visuals on there. Just imagine there's a sun up front in your class, and it helps just being more involved when you have visuals in front of you. So because you can see a sun and you know what a sun is, this is making total sense of what the person is currently talking about. And what your job is right now is to find some form of way of how you can visualize this thing, and that can be through pictures, that can be done through text if text help you, that can be done through YouTube videos. Like, once again, if we take the advice from earlier with not being in the lecture, you can still watch YouTube video about that. Change up your place, change up study places. Like, you are not bound, I'm not bound to this chair. I actually kind of am because I'm streaming, but I'm not bound to this chair while studying. I can sit in bed, I can go to the library. There's an overall recommendation that you should always have the same study environment around you, and that you should make it as comfortable as anywhere possible, yet it should not be too comfortable at the same time so that you fall asleep. That's why studying from bed might not be the best idea, because I personally would totally fall asleep in like 30 minutes or less, if even.